was one of the fans that really did see this coming. I know, a lot of Michigan fans are going to say they did, but there really was a select few Michigan fans that really did see the potential of us winning that game, not blowing them out or roughing them around. But here's what I saw. I saw an Ohio State team that flubbed the game against Oregon and then didn't look really good against Tulsa, and then found an identity early in the season and moved on and was dominating after that. And I felt like Michigan State, that game against Michigan State, was the same situation for us. I know it was later in the season, but I felt like that was a flub game. I didn't for a minute think that they were the better team, but I understood that we still lost. And, we ended up winning several more games after that. That game against Maryland, we pretty much dominated that game. And I felt like it was the same situation. And I had been telling people, because my father-in-law is an Ohio State fan. He went to Ohio State. And I was trying to tell him at Thanksgiving, it's the same situation as Ohio State when they played Oregon. It was just a flub game. And he couldn't see it. And it was astounding to me that all week I listened to a lot of Ohio State podcasts. I like to listen to what the enemy's thinking, what the other side is thinking. And I've heard more people on Ohio State looking ahead to Georgia and talking about Georgia rather than talking about Michigan. And
yeah, well, that's ridiculous. That's pathetic.
Right. And I have a great reverence for Ohio State because that's just part of the rivalry. I respect the rivalry. And I don't care what Paul Feinbaum says, and I'm not going to go off on that, but he talked about Auburn, Alabama is the real rivalry. There's nothing that can come close to that. It's like the Palestinians and Israelis living together. Look, I grew up in Mississippi. I'm back living there now, but I lived in Michigan too. It's not even close. It's not even close. Paul Feinbaum is an self-admitted SEC homer that favors the SEC, particularly Alabama, in every sense. It's not even close. My dad's a diehard Alabama fan. He met Nick Saban. Not Nick Saban. He met Bear Bryant when he was a kid. It's not even close. Ohio State versus Michigan is the premier rivalry in North America. You lose friendships over it. Some people take it too seriously. But I want to say that one thing Woody Hayes said, and there's a documentary called The 10-Year War talking about when him and Bo went at it. And he said that in regards to the 1969 game, when you have a team that's playing for pride, that's a dangerous thing, because pride, a team that has nothing but pride on the table, that you've got to really treat that carefully because that's a dangerous team that's playing for pride. And I felt like Ohio State didn't really look at that. It wasn't, I felt like they just weren't prepared. It was more, and I know they prepared in the sense to where this is Michigan. Oh, we hate Michigan and all that, all rah-rah stuff. But I felt like they were preparing to just beat Michigan, and they weren't preparing to take this seriously at all. And that's what cost them the game. And I was listening to your caller Willie talking, and I agree with everything he's saying. But one thing that I heard him say that I've heard a lot of other Ohio State fans is they didn't make any adjustments. And there's things they probably could have done differently. But Mark, in my opinion, it was five-star talent against five-star talent, and one side of the ball wanted it more than the other. And Michigan, it's elite talent versus elite talent, and Michigan is coming into this with a chip on each one of their shoulders. And Ohio State's coming in we're just going to beat Michigan. Let's just come on in here and beat them. And Michigan came out swinging, and you saw as the game progressed, Ohio State players started getting frustrated. We saw Cameron Brown ripped the helmet off a Michigan player. You saw a lot of false starts. It was just a lot of evident frustration because they didn't think it was going to be that hard. And I think Ryan Day is to blame, but I'm going to tell you what, I think the culture is to blame too. I've already heard people talking about getting rid of Ryan Day now. This is his first Big Ten loss. Are you kidding me? I understand he inherited a good team. But, y'all are going to talk about getting rid of him. I'm not talking about you, Mark, but, that is ridiculous. You just got to understand some of these Michigan State people some of these Ohio State fans got to understand Michigan can sneak up on them. And I just want to reference it to Ole Miss versus Alabama in 2014. I think Alabama was ranked like number 1. That was when they had game day in Oxford, and Katy Perry was there, and she picked Ole Miss to win. But Alabama, they just thought they were the superior team. And They went to Oxford and played Ole Miss, and Ole Miss beat them. And I believe Alabama was ranked number 1 then. And all I heard all week was Alabama fans saying, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get them next year in Tuscaloosa. Next year, they're going to be in our house. Well, you know what? Next year, Ole Miss went to Tuscaloosa and beat them there. Mm-hmm. They didn't respect them. They respected them after that. And I've heard a lot of Ohio State fans saying that. Don't worry, we'll have them at the shoe. Well, hey, if y'all want to think that, I hope y'all's coach thinks that too, because they'll come to the shoe and do the same thing. You've got to respect your enemies. You got to have respect for the team you're playing, because what happened Saturday was, I'm not going to say a manhandling, but I don't think it was a situation where strategy failed. I think it was a mindset. I think they came in there and they just didn't think that it was going to be what it was. And, I've been hearing things, and I follow a lot of the players on Twitter, and I've been to several games and met some of the players, and I can feel something different this year. A lot of Michigan fans were talking about it. This is a different team. And I'm not talking about like Chase Winovich and the revenge tour. I'm talking about serious talent, and I knew they were going to bring something. I didn't think it was going to turn out the way it did. But, talking about running off your coach, and, we just got to understand Michigan can beat Ohio State. You can't just push your coach off a plank. And, it was just 5-star talent versus 5-star talent, and one side wanted it more, and that's what happened.
There you go.
That's just what I want.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it was. So, and, that's really all I wanted to say, though, man. One side wanted it more, and Ohio State fans, that's fine. You can be mad at Ryan Day. Do whatever you want to do. But if they don't take this seriously, it'll happen again next year. And it's already working in our favor this year, and it's going to work. If we beat y'all next year, it's going to work even more in our favor. And, I have to ask you one thing, though, Mark. Are you at least excited that the rivalry is actually back to being like an actual rivalry now?
No, that does not excite me in any such way. I want to win every year.
Well, I understand you for wanting that, man. But we'll see what happens. I just wanted to kind of spew my point on it, man. Let's change the culture, man. Ohio State fans, change the culture. Quit just expecting to win every year. This is going to keep going downhill for y'all if y'all keep doing that.
Well, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night. You too.
All right. Well, a lot of the stuff that he said there was it's pretty much conjecture. Just because a team loses a game doesn't mean it's lost its culture. So maybe it has, maybe it has not. But everybody loses games at some point. The thing that has to be understood, too, is that we don't know that Ohio State went in there expecting to win or just assuming a win, let's say. We don't know that Ohio State was arrogant and overconfident. Who knows that? We could have said that every year for the last 20 years, practically. I have stated on here many times that I am and was fascinated that and impressed to a certain extent that Ohio State could stay that fixated and that obsessed with Michigan. Think about human nature. What is human nature? Human nature would tell you that if you whip up on an opponent, regardless of what your coach is telling you, regardless of what the rest of the state is telling you about how important this game is and that it's this great tradition, these guys are 18, 19, 20 years old. All they know is that we whip them every year. Big deal. I don't care about what happened in 1975. This is today, and we know that they're no good because we whip them. So I have been astounded that Ohio State has been able to maintain this type of focus and obsession with Michigan, beating them that consistently year after year after year after year. Just think about that from the standpoint of human nature, and trying to convince a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds, yes, they are a serious threat. We need to be focused. I'm not talking about telling them the day of the game, telling them that in March, telling them that in August, talking about that in the weight room, having signs up everywhere to remind Ohio State players that this rivalry is everything. And here's the countdown clock. Anybody in their right mind would think why are you showing us a countdown clock to a game that we win every year? Why don't you show us a countdown clock to the team that, to Clemson like they did, or whomever they lost to that particular year before? Show us that countdown clock. Why do we need a countdown clock to a team that we whip every year? So if anything, I've actually been astounded that Ohio State's been able to maintain this kind of focus and obsession with Michigan. And maybe that went away this year. It looks like it did, but teams lose football games all the time. So maybe Ohio State just lost a football game. And there's a difference between and anybody who has competed, not just athletically, in a number of ways, know that there's a difference between giving it your best and really trying and giving it an honest, tough effort versus like being obsessed with your hair on fire, refuse to be denied, refuse to give up, and there's nothing wrong with the first category, but it doesn't work at this level of football. And to be able to coach a team to some level of fervor where they just can't be contained and they can't be denied, that doesn't just happen every time out, every game. And I know that it's easy for us to sit on our couches and say, why didn't they try harder? Why aren't they just obsessed and just... I believe that the effort was there. I just think that Michigan was so sick of losing and just had it. Plus, they had the talent and the preparation and the previous results in the other 11 games to let them know we should be confident